Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I am Samantha Leighanne and I talk about books. First of all, before I get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who sent in questions. I got a ton of questions on Instagram, on the video itself. I got some on Twitter. So thank you to everyone who is even just a little bit interested in anything at all I have to say. Also, I just want to point out that when I originally did the announcement and everything for this, it was for 500 subscribers. And now I'm at like 625 or something along those lines. But I am just absolutely shocked that anyone cares that much about anything at all that I have to say, whether it be about books or this video right here. So the questions that I was asked was a combination of personal things as well as, bookish related things. So I'm really excited to do this and let you guys know a little bit more about me and that kind of thing. So let's just jump right into the questions. Okay, so the first question I actually got asked a couple different times. I got the question, am I at all interested in writing? If I am, do I have any kind of projects out there? And the answer is no. I am a reader and I really enjoy analyzing literature. I was actually thinking about that the other day, like really going in and looking for themes and motifs and things like that. I really enjoy that, and I really enjoyed that whenever I was in college as well. However, I don't think that I am creative enough, and I know that like writer people are gonna be like, everybody thinks that, but it was such a struggle for me to even like get on BookTube, and it's still a struggle for me to let people know about this aspect of my life, that I actually know in real life. There's only a handful of people that actually do know. And so it's like, if it's that hard for me to just like let people know about like BookTube things, I don't know how I would handle like putting something that I poured my heart and soul, not that I don't pour my heart and soul into this, but you guys, you understand what I'm saying. So like the people that write, that are watching this, like I commend you for being able to put something that you put so much work in like out into the world and to really, accept criticism on that. I just don't think that I personally am strong enough to do it. And again, like I don't know that I'm like creative enough. I feel like any idea that I would have, somebody else has done it better. I don't know. I don't feel like I have very many original ideas. I'm not like the most creative person in the world, I don't feel like. So the answer is no, I'm not a writer. If you could have 3 authors over for dinner, who would you choose and why? Number 1, you guys know what the answer to this is gonna be. So like, let's not pretend you don't know. And obviously, that's gonna be Mr. Stephen King. I love his work so much, and I say that I would like want the opportunity to pick his brain, which is partially true. Like, I definitely would want the opportunity to pick his brain. However, I also just think that he would be a really interesting person to talk to, not just about writing, but just in general. And like the things that he posts on Twitter are hilarious. So I feel like I would absolutely love him, not just as a writer, but as a person in general as well. So he's my number 1. My number 2, who would my number 2 be? My number 2 would honestly probably be Neil Gaiman, for a lot of the same reasons that I would choose Stephen King. Also, if you guys have never listened to a audiobook that was narrated by Neil Gaiman, I need you to do that, because I could listen to him talk for days. He just has the most soothing voice imaginable. So I feel like it would be a lot of me staring at him while he talked, and I would just like give him prompts and just listen to him talk, because I just love the sound of his voice. That probably sounds really creepy now that I'm thinking about it and I'm like saying it out loud, but there it is. So I'm not taking it back now. And the next one that I'm gonna go with is actually Angie Thomas, but she's somebody that I've also been following on Twitter, and I just think that she is the greatest. And the book that she wrote being so important, and the insight that she poured into that book, I feel like I could have just amazing conversations with that woman. Next question is, what is a book that you love, even though you can fully admit that it is terrible in some way, whether it is plot, characters, writing, whatever? Julie, Jess, and Christina, this one's for you. And that's Outlander. I recently reread this with a wonderful group of women, and half of them ended up DNFing this book. And before this reread, like, I loved this book. This was one of my favorite books. It had 5 stars. However, upon rereading it for the 3rd time, yes, the 3rd time, I had become a much more critical reader. And since I had become more critical, I definitely saw this book through a new lens. There's a lot of things that the author does wrong in here, And I definitely see that now. However, I will forever love this book because of Jamie Fraser. I love his character. I think that he is just absolutely amazing. He is, if anybody ever asks me who like my book boyfriend or book husband is, it's Jamie Fraser. I just love him. And I consider myself total trash for this book. I can see the flaws that it has definitely now, but I still like it. So what are you gonna do? Who is the person, doesn't have to be book related, that you would absolutely lose your shit over if you ever got to meet them in person? Honestly, I'm not one of those people to like get really crazy about, you know, like celebrities and things like that, because at the end of the day, they're just, you like normal people. However, I would probably lose my shit over Stephen King. I would also probably lose my shit over actually getting to meet and like have a conversation with Davey Havoc from AFI, or really anybody from AFI, because I love that band and I have loved them since I was like 13 years old. And same thing with like Coheed and Cambria. I would probably like cry a little if I got to meet Claudio Sanchez. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I can't really think of anyone else. Like I might get a little speechless, but I wouldn't like lose my shit. So a couple people have been requesting to see my babies. So this is the first baby. This is Ella. This was my first little bird. She is a rescue. She's 6, almost 7. I love her dearly. She is a mama's girl, and she is just wonderful. We've had her for about 3 years now, and she wants to get down now, so I'm gonna let her down. But she's my cat. She loves being in a lap, but since we got her brother, she is so jealous. Sometimes. She's such a sweetheart and I absolutely adore her. I'm a cat lady. I don't have kids, I have cats. Y'all judge me for that if you want to. I woke him up from a nap. This is Darren. This is my big boy Darren. We've had him for about 6 months now. He's also a rescue. He is the one that you hear in the background because he is the neediest pancake of all time. We call him Pancake because he like flips around. He is very, very sweet. He is very needy. He loves being in a lap. And he's absolutely obsessed with my husband. Like absolutely obsessed. He likes me, but only when my husband's not home. Oh, the Pancake. Oh, my sweet little Pancake. This is like the longest he's ever let me hold him. I say that and then he is like this. Okay, so now if you ever hear me go, yes, Darren, now you have a picture. Which if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen pictures of him anyway. Also, if you don't follow me on Twitter, you should follow me on Instagram because he's usually in my stories like a lot. So favorite books in a genre that you don't normally read. Really, I read a lot of different things. I don't read science fiction very regularly. I'll read fantasy before science fiction. And so I would have to say Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I don't have a copy of that, but I really enjoyed that book. And you want to talk about like trash romance type stuff, I don't usually read that very often. I have a certain love in my heart for a couple Danielle Steele books. The few that are like sticking out in my head are The Ring and Granny Dan, for reasons that I can't explain. So favorite bookish item to indulge in is like bookmarks, candles, things like that. Can we count like planner stuff? Does that count? Honestly, I really like getting like new and different types of pens to like annotate with, and I have a love affair with like the post-it flags and post-it notes. Like I'm regularly getting those in like all kinds of pretty colors, and then I like color coordinate the colors to like match the book as best as I can because I like doing that. If I'm gonna annotate it, then it's gonna be pretty, okay? I just started using washi tape for my book planner and I kind of really love it, so that's also a thing. But as far as bookmarks, honestly, I have some in this mug, which, hi, this mug is like my favorite mug in existence. I run on coffee and cuss words because this is true. Most of the bookmarks that are in there are like free things from like Book of the Month and Book Depository and things like that. I think I've gotten like 2 actual bookmarks and I ordered them from the same shop that I got my book planner from, which I should show you, right? Which I posted this on my Instagram story. Little Inklings Designs on Etsy. I'll link the shop down below. I do believe that she has sold through these. This is 2018 book planner, and I'm pretty sure she sold through them, but she's got a lot of other really pretty stuff in her shop if you do enjoy bookmarks. I'm using one right now, but I did order this one. Really bright, really pretty. It's not like super thick paper, which I like. And the planner itself, I'm gonna show you January because January is almost over, but you know, like I can plan out my videos, things like that, you know, just actually plan out the day of stuff. There's a spot for book reviews, and then monthly wrap up, books read, blah, blah, blah. So I find it really soothing to go through and write things in that planner. So that's one of the reasons that I like it. Honestly, as far as candles and stuff go, I really only burn beeswax candles in my house. Either that or the Chesapeake Bay candles from Target, because I love them. The Tahitian vanilla scent is like my favorite. So I don't really do like the bookish candles or anything like that. I don't know why. I think that I'm just like really picky about that. I do like beeswax and essential oils and things like that instead of actual like burning candles. A writing style or a trope that you just hate. I don't know about writing style. I can't think of a writing style that I really hate. Tropes that I hate, like insta-love makes me rage really hard. If it's done in a way that makes sense. So for example, The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. That was very insta-lovey, but I still loved like the overarching themes and everything throughout the book, so I could forgive that. But most other insta-love just makes me rage. Honestly, that was one of the reasons that I didn't like Heartless as much as I think I wanted to, because I hated that whole story. I hated that whole part of the story. But, oh, you know what? One of the other things that I really hate when authors go through a chapter and you get towards the end of the chapter and they're like, so they did this, and this is a thing that they would regret for the rest of their lives. Like, I hate that shit. Don't tell me that. Show me. I get that it's supposed to like build up your anticipation, but most of the time I'm like, why do you have to ruin it? Don't ruin it, because that's how I end up like guessing half of the thrillers that I end up like being able to guess, is because they write shit like that and I just can't. What video are you most and least proud of? I don't know about a video that I'm like really proud of, because I haven't done anything like crazy. Most of the things that I have done up until this point, they're like pretty standard. I will say that if I go back and watch videos from the very beginning versus the videos that I put out in the last month, I'm really proud of the progression that I've made in terms of editing and just like the quality of my content. So I think that the video that I'm most proud of will probably end up being in the next couple months. And what video am I the least proud of? My booktube newbie tag is like really cringy, because I had no idea what I was doing at the time as far as editing, and I was trying to like relearn an editing program, and I was using like Windows Movie Maker, and so like the very beginning, like there's no intro or anything. It's like, let's just jump right into the questions, and I completely cut off the beginning where I talked about like who I was and all of that stuff. So I have no idea why I did that, and it's just really cringy to watch. But give us a couple of your favorite and least favorite books. So let's start with favorite. This book, I just recently did a review on it. I absolutely loved it. 5 stars, excellent. I'll link my review up above if you want to watch it. If we're going to talk about series, this series as a whole, the Gunslinger series, I love it so much. You guys know that. I don't know why I'm telling you this. Well, I guess you don't know that if you're new to this channel. So hi, hello. I really love the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. This is my favorite classic of all time. I absolutely love this book so much. I don't read a lot of classics. I generally tend to not like very many classics, but this one is amazing. This book was really good, Exit West by Mohsin Hamid, and I still find myself thinking about this book, and it was really short. Skipping Harry Potter, because that's a given. Oh shit, that would have been so bad. This is one of my favorite series of all time, and that is The Chronicles of Narnia. I love these books so much. I've probably read them 12 times each, and actually like now that I'm holding them in my hands, I want to reread them again, so I might end up doing that this year. But this was one of the series that really made me fall in love with reading, so this will always hold a really special place in my heart. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is an excellent book, and I'm sure there's other ones, but of course as soon as I read this question I'm like, oh my god, what books do I really love? So least favorite books. I don't really have very many on my shelves because I tend to get rid of them. The only one that I actually have on my shelves right now, and I'm not getting rid of it until I read the second book, and that is The Great and Secret Show. And I wanted to love this book, but I can't with this book. Other books that I really didn't like Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. I really hated The Circle by Dave Eggers. And honestly, those are the only 3 that I can really think of off the top of my head, because the rest of them weren't necessarily books that I hated. They were just kind of books that I was disappointed by. And I think that the reason for that is because I know myself for the most part well enough to know like what I'm going to absolutely hate. So I tend to just not even put myself in, you know, situations where I might end up hating the book that I read. Somebody said that they remembered seeing that I actually really like hiking and asked, where I would really love to go hiking someday, and I have a couple of different places. So yes, I really love hiking. Me and my husband went to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park last year. No, not last year, 2016. We went to Pisgah National Forest for 2017. One of my goals is to do all of the state parks in my state of South Carolina. There's like a lot of them. I don't remember how many there are, but there's a lot of them. And also I want to do Congaree National Park, which is like an hour away from me. But other places that I really want to do, I really want to do the Grand Canyon, I really want to do Yellowstone, I really want to do Glacier National Park. And another place that I really want to go, and this is really weird, but I really want to go to, I can't remember the official name of it, but it is a national forest in California. It is where they have the bristlecone pine forest, because I just think that those are the coolest looking trees that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm pretty sure that the oldest tree in the world is somewhere in that national forest. They don't give out the location, obviously, but I just think that it would be really amazing to go to a place like that where things are that old. So favorite genres to read: horror, mystery, thriller, suspense, historical fiction, fantasy. I figured out is apparently one of my favorite genres as well. And I do really enjoy a good contemporary. I'm just a little picky about my contemporaries. I tend to stay away from romance. I don't read that much nonfiction, though I am trying to read more of it. And again, I haven't read a lot of like actual science fiction, you know, like involving space and stuff, but that is a genre that I do want to read more of in the next year. So I read a lot of different things. Why did you decide to start a booktube channel? There were a lot of different reasons. I really kind of lurked for a while before I decided that I was gonna make one, and the reason for that is I love reading. It's something that is very soothing to me. It's something that tends to help my anxiety, or I don't really have very many friends in my life who actually read. And so it was a way for me to really connect like through the community. And that was really the biggest thing, just where I could meet like-minded people. So, are you married? Yes, I am married. I have been with my husband for 10 years. It'll be 10 years at the beginning of March. We've been married for 3. He is the absolute love of my life. He is my very best friend in the whole world. I have told him multiple times that he is 100% stuck with me for the rest of forever. How do you keep track of your year-end stats? So I have 2 ways that I do that. Number 1, just Goodreads. I get a lot of the stats from Goodreads. Number 2, I have an actual spreadsheet that I use that I found from somebody who I can't remember the name of, but I will link it down below for anybody who's interested. I'm still using the 2017 version, but I believe that he's updating it for 2018. I really just went through and I tweaked it to make it fit what I wanted it to fit. But for my 2017 year-end stat video, that's how I made all of those stats. And let me tell you, I didn't start using that until towards the end of the year, and trying to put 120 something books in there was hellacious. If you think that you might want to start a spreadsheet, I recommend doing it sooner versus later. Have you always been a reader? Honestly, yes. Yes, I have always been a reader. I've had seasons of my life where I didn't read as much, but I've really always been a reader. That's one thing that I bless my mother for every single day, is that she read a lot with me whenever I was younger. I remember going to the used book and comic book store that was up the road with her whenever I was in elementary school. And you know, there were always books in the house. That's how I got turned on to Stephen King, was reading her Stephen King's. So I've been a reader for most of my life. And the first copies of the Narnia series that I ever got were actually hers as well. So thanks, Mom. I appreciate you very much for giving me my love of reading. What character would you most likely be friends with in real life? That's a really hard one. I feel like I would be best friends with everybody on The Wayfarer from Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. That's kind of like my go-to. I tend to not mention Harry Potter characters because I feel like that's a cop-out, but I feel like I would be best friends with Hermione whenever we were or whenever I was younger, just because of like the way that her demeanor is and her like level of sarcasm. I can 100% get behind that. Those are the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head though. The last one is kind of a bunch of stuff all together. What type of music do you listen to? What are some of your favorite artists? And what's the best concert you've ever been to? I listen to a lot of different music, but my default is like angsty, emo, metal stuff. I don't know. I grew up like listening to Taking Back Sunday and The Used, which I still love dearly. AFI, I already mentioned, is one of my favorite bands of all time. Every Time I Die, Coheed and Cambria, Amberlin. I still jam out to Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, Mastodon, so many different things. I listen to a lot of different music, really. And then I'll go to like listen to David Bowie and like Tom Petty and stuff like that. So I don't know. When it comes to music, I like the stuff that I listened to whenever I was in high school up until now. I like tons of 80s stuff because I grew up on that, like 80s metal. Thanks to my dad, I grew up listening to that, so it's something that I love and that I always will love. But like modern music, I listen to it and I'm like, what is this? What is this? Most of it's trash. I mean, some of it's like really catchy, but I don't know. It's not my thing. Sorry. The best concert I've ever been to. I've been to a lot of really good concerts. I've had the pleasure of seeing a lot of my favorite bands live. I've seen Amberlin 5 times. My favorite was one that we saw in high school, and they played like my favorite song on acoustic, and it just made my whole life. I saw The Used. I don't remember. I lost track of when these years were. I saw The Used, and I really loved that. I got a little drinky, but it was really good. I've seen Coheed several times. Always go with my best friend to their show. They're always amazing. I've seen In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth in its entirety, and I've seen Good Apollo and Burning Star 4 done in its entirety as well. I've seen AFI 3 times, and I really only count 2 times because the first time was at Warped Tour in like 2006 actually. I think it was 2006 that I saw them at Warped Tour, because I used to go to Warped Tour every year. Like I went like 8 years in a row. That's the kind of little angsty emo person I was. Judge me all you want. Every Time I Die, me and my husband went and saw them years ago at this tiny place up in Columbia, and it was so good because it was so tiny, and we got to meet the band, and it was just absolutely amazing. So that was a lot of questions, and I've been talking for a really long time, and I'm looking at the amount of time that this video is, and I'm like, oh my god, editing this, I have to edit all of this. But thank you guys so much for even asking these questions. Thank you guys so much for even watching this. Thank you guys for subscribing, for watching any of my videos. You are all so wonderful. One of my favorite things about being on this channel is connecting with you guys, talking to you guys about books, life, whatever. I've met some amazing people through this platform, and I want to continue to do that. So definitely never be afraid to reach out to me via Twitter, Instagram, anything like that. I love talking to you guys, and I am one of the most awkward people on this planet. So I usually won't like actually reach out to people because I'm afraid that they're gonna be like, why is this person messaging me? Because I have anxiety, and I'm just very strange whenever it comes to that kind of thing. So don't ever be afraid to reach out to me because I love talking to all of you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. All of my social media links can be found in the description below, as well as anything else that I said that I was gonna link. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. If you haven't hit the subscribe button and you feel so inclined because you just listened to me talk forever and you think that I might be a neat person, then definitely do that. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.